Welcome to Unhinged Racer, where Sunday Cup means bloodbath, stock means cheating, and the prize money couldn't buy a sandwich. Let's find out what happens. Weekly Challenge, February 2026, Week 6. The trauma continues. Another week, another fresh hell courtesy of Polyphony Digital. They've apparently decided to dial back the sadism, at least on paper. This week's special event tasks you with slipstreaming behind other cars like a motorsports remora fish. And the grand prize for surviving all 5 events is a 6-star scratch-off ticket, which sounds generous until you remember Polyphony's idea of a prize is usually a camshaft for a 1962 Fiat you'll never own and couldn't afford even if you wanted one. Let's get unhinged. Race 1, European Sunday Cup 400, Watkins Glen Short, where you run down a runway disguised as a racetrack in upstate New York. Watkins Glen Short features a suicide bus stop that lives up to the name, a downhill plunge into a corner that actively tries to murder you, and a climb that sucks the life out of whatever speed you've managed to hoard. The grid overflows with overpowered European mid-sized sedans that handle like shopping carts full of cement. The rules say 400 pp, 3 laps, 12 cars, first place pays 38,000 credits. Here's where Polyphony's recommendation reveals its trolling nature. They suggest a 470 pp car for a 400 pp race. This is like bringing a flamethrower to a knitting circle and then being told you can only use the pilot light. I take their recommended weapon, a bloated Clio RS trophy touring car, then spend 3 hours in the tuning shop performing automotive liposuction. I slam in a customizable manual transmission and a fully customized differential. Not for performance, but to game the PP system. The transmission adds flexibility, the diff drops the number. We limbo down to 435 pp, still cheating, but legally. The flag drops. These cars accelerate with the urgency of tectonic plates, so energy management becomes religion. Once you bleed speed, it never returns. I skip the spoilers entirely. The drag would stall us out on the uphill climb. I keep the throttle buried through the S's, feeling the chassis float as we crest the hill. The AI drives like possessive roommates, hogging the racing line and forcing you to waste precious seconds contemplating your choices while trying to pass. The big sweeping right hand before the back straight rewards bravery. I enter wide, kiss the inside curb late, and feel the G-forces try to separate my retinas from my skull. This sets up the front straight. The first corner deceives you. You're carrying terminal velocity from the long straight, diving downhill into a banked apex that promises grip. It delivers, until it doesn't. The runoff slopes away from the track like a skateboard ramp to nowhere. I judge it right this time, clipping the apex and holding the slide. Lap 3. The AI stops playing nice. My pace slows, and a red Peugeot dive bombs the inside as I cut the apex. The contact causes me to slide. I lose the position. Going up the hill, I repeat the mistake. My tires haven't given up, my dignity follows. The AI smells blood. 2 cars pin me between them, entering the bus stop. A metal sandwich with me as the expired mayonnaise. I decide to return the favor. I help the red Peugeot into the grass, use the contact to cut the bus stop, track limits are merely suggestions, and limp across the line. Results: 4 minutes 45 seconds total. Best lap, 1 minute 34 seconds. I beat second place by 1.2 seconds, which feels less like a victory and more of a statistical error. Loot, 38,000 credits and 100,000 credit scratch-off. Race 2, Japanese Clubman Cup 550 Grand Valley South. Now we're dancing along a cliff face in California, piloting overpowered, underweight Japanese sports cars that want to swap ends with every bump. Grand Valley South offers gorgeous views of your own impending death. Rules: 550 pp. 4 laps, 12 cars, 55,000 credits for first. I bring the R32 GTR Nismo. It's purple, prismatic purple, specifically because science hasn't yet proven that color adds horsepower. So I'm running the experiment. Light downforce keeps it on the asphalt. Custom suspension prevents it from behaving like a pogo stick. And racing brakes actually let me slow down before going over the cliff. Weight reduction because physics is a thing. The long downhill S-curve through the rock cut demands respect. You're carrying velocity that would impress a ballistic missile, and the camber shifts from inside to outside. I barely attempt to turn. I aim for the dirt dip on the left, stand on the brakes while traveling in a straight line. Then, turn hard for the right-hander along the cliff edge. For the following corners, I aggressively cut the apex. Proper execution kicks up puffs of dirt. They taste like accomplishment. Entering the tunnel, I sweep wide to the left and then snap right to clip the inside curve, carrying every possible mile per hour onto the following straight. At the end of the straight, I brake late, turn in early, then stand on the brakes before the long curve onto the bridge. The car makes it, I don't die. Results: 5 minutes, 28 seconds total. Second place finish is 3.6 seconds behind. An eternity in racing terms. Approximately 4 heart attacks in human terms. Best lap, 1 minute 20 seconds on lap 3. Loot, 55,000 credits, and the continued ability to breathe unassisted. Event 3, Slipstream Challenge. 24 hours of Le Mans. Polyphony hands you the Renault Aventime. It does not come in purple Technicolor. This isn't good and shakes my confidence. The mission: hit 142.9 miles per hour for gold. Silver weights at 141.1 miles per hour. Exactly 1.8 miles per hour slower. Because Polyphony does offer participation trophies, bronze is for people who show up. The car wheezes its way to a top speed of 142.9 miles per hour if you treat it kindly. There are 2 tricks. First, don't lead. Tuck yourself behind another car like you're trying to hide from your responsibilities. The slipstream drags you forwards, reduces drag, makes acceleration possible. Second, shift like your life depends on it. If you're using a manual transmission, and you should, every millisecond counts. I draft the cars through the long Masson straight, feeling the suction pull me forward. The speedometer climbs. I nip past the lead car at the last second. Results: 143.5 miles per hour. Gold. Loot: 20,000 credits, enough for tires and an air freshener. And a 200,000 credit scratch off for completing 3 events. Race 4, World Touring Car 600. Nürburgring Nordschleife, the green hell. 20 kilometers of asphalt that hates you personally. This is the longest track in the game. Technical enough that mastering it requires either monk-like dedication or a complete absence of self-preservation instinct. The 600 pp races are sprint events disguised as endurance events. You're flat out the entire time with margins for error measured in millimeters and regret. Rules: 2 laps, 20 cars, 600 pp hard cap. Race cars allowed. First place pays 115,000 credits. I bring the R32 GTR V-Spec. Prismatic purple. obviously. Light downforce keeps it grounded without strangling the top speed. Custom suspension stiffens the chassis. Custom diff drops the PP. Racing transmission lets me tune the ratios. Low RPM turbo adds grunt. Racing brakes, weight reduction. The purple paint adds at least 3 theoretical horsepower. The nightmare begins immediately. The track is the width of an ambitious bicycle path. The curbs punish you for breathing wrong. Cut an apex by 2 inches, the car launches into the trees. Run wide, you're farming potatoes in the Rhineland countryside. The AI cars scatter across the track like startled deer. They attempt to offer passing opportunities, noble gestures rendered useless by the fact that these windows last approximately 2 seconds and require you to already be halfway past them. Worse, they brake unexpectedly. You'll chase a car for a minute or 2, gaining nothing. Then they'll slam the anchors for a corner that requires merely a lifted throttle. Or they'll slow down on the long Dottinger hose straight where physics demand acceleration. You cannot force a pass here. The compound curves and brutal curves turn aggressive moves into flying lessons. Instead, you tap them. A gentle love tap from the rear bumper encourages the AI to move aside. It usually works. Usually. In every single race I had, one specific AI car contracts amnesia and forgets it's supposed to be traffic, not competition. Lap 2 arrives, and suddenly this digital masochist decides to race me on the Nordschleife. While I'm busy trying not to visit the Eiffel treetops, it sticks to me like an aggressive debt collector, forcing me off the racing line, murdering my lap pace, and generally turning an already traumatic experience into a claustrophobic nightmare of metal and poor decisions. Given my complete lack of trust in the AI and the track's narrow width, this is about as fun as a root canal in a moving vehicle. And then, there are the final 2 corners, where the AI collectively remembers its script. The car ahead can suddenly anchor down like it spotted a speed camera operated by God himself, either attempting to give you the win or judging your pace insufficient for glory. Alternatively, if you've slowed to a geriatric crawl, some other AI opportunist dive bombs you on the inside like a seagull spotting a dropped french fry. I anticipate this schizophrenic behavior, cut inside to avoid the chaos, and limp across the line, wondering why I didn't take up knitting. Results: 15 minutes, 22 seconds. I beat second place by 1.5 seconds. Best lap, 7 minutes, 38 seconds. Set by someone named Haywood on lap 2. This raises questions, since the 5 drivers finished ahead of Haywood despite his lap being faster than all of ours. Time is a flat circle in GT7. Loot: 115,000 credits and a lingering sense of paranoia. Race 5, GR1 Prototype Series, Daytona Road Course. Insanely fast prototype cars on an oval that's been kinked just enough to prevent you from sleeping. 10 laps, fuel consumption on, tire wear active. Racing tires required. 950 pp cap. 20 cars, first place, 115,000 credits. I bring the SRT Tomahawk SVGT. It looks like a weaponized doorstop. I strap on a power restrictor and a fully customizable manual transmission to squeeze under the 950 pp limit. The restrictor has a side benefit. It sips fuel rather than guzzling it. The car generates enough downforce to drive on the ceiling. I add prismatic purple paint because at these speeds, style is necessary. Strategy: fuel mix 1 for 5 laps, then pit for fuel. The restrictor makes this possible. The racing line reveals itself as a black smear of rubber across the banking. Turn 1 arrives fast. I brake hard as it tightens, feeling the carbon ceramics glow. The shallow S-curves through the infield allow aggressive straight lining. I flatten the wheel and let downforce pin me to the track, carrying obscene speeds past the pit exit. The long semi-straight of the infield invites full commitment. I keep the throttle buried until the hairpin at the end demands repentance. Hard braking, rotate the car back on the power. Exiting the infield, I watch the black smear. It opens wide into banking, allowing drivers to carry extra speed onto the oval. Unfortunately, I took the tight line earlier and lost time. The bus stop approaches. I brake as late as physics allow. The Tomahawk's downforce lets me brake later than would normally be possible. I slow just enough to change direction, then hammer the throttle, exiting onto the banking. For most of the race, I'm passing cars like they're stationary. The draft pulls me past on the straights. The downforce lets me carry speed through the kinks. Results: 15 minutes, 54 seconds. 1 second faster than second place. Best lap, 1 minute, 30 seconds on lap 9. Loot, 115,000 credits, and the 6-star lottery scratch-off. This concludes this week's curriculum of automotive trauma. Polyphony has reminded us that physics is negotiable, AI is sentient and malevolent, and purple paint is always the correct choice. See you next week, assuming the scratch-off doesn't give me another radiator for a car that doesn't exist.